I would make a motion to that order.
Is that kind of?
Call the question, Heather?
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter,
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown.
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter.
Aye. All right, no discussion, motion carries 4-0 to count. All right, looking at the minutes from the May 20th, 2024 regular meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review those, and do we have any commentary?
I move to approve the meeting minutes as written.
I second that.
Heather, will you please call the question?
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter.
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown.
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Again, no public participation this evening. Also, Mr. Cordray, do you have anything for DAC?
No, just that we're planning to have a board DAC committee meeting, and I think that's going to be on August 16th.
Okay,
So it'll be a joint session.
here in the boardroom?
Yes. Kind of an opportunity for the board to charge the DAC and also a social environment so that we can also build a stronger relationship between the two entities.
All right, we are going to roll right into any board reports for the evening, and Mr. Figueroa, it is your show completely this evening for
Yeah.
board reports.
That's, I don't have a lot. I won't have a lot for LRC, just because they're in the down mode. They're not in session until they get in session again. But I am constantly looking for any updates. I do have an interesting tidbit that I thought was something worth knowing about. It's around the Colorado Supreme Court recently ruled on a BOE situation. And the BOE situation really has to do with BOCES that wanted to basically start up a school for students with learning disability within a district that wasn't part of their BOCES. So it's obviously something in Colorado, somebody tried to do that in some BOCES. And the court said, no, you can't do that. You don't have the jurisdiction. You can do that within BOCES that has the 5 districts in your district. You can start up a school, but you can't go into somebody else's district and not get their consent to start up a school. So I just thought that was interesting. It was something that happened in the eastern part of Colorado, and I just thought it was interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go to CASB. Again, a lot of these things that I'm talking about are things you've already heard, but just a reminder that we need to register for the Boardmanship Academy for CASB. That's going to be in Durango, and it is going to be September 28th. It's open now. I know it's early to really try to figure out what we want to do, but by July, we probably need to make some decisions about who is going to attend that particular deal. And again, the first part, it's a Saturday, so it's 10 to 11:45. The first part is about mastering the art of effective school board meetings. So they're going to present more information about how to do that. And then from 12:45 to 2:30, they're going to give us lunch and all of that. And then the afternoon is going to be around legal topics that affect our school district and our students. So that's what's there. Let's see. I do want to remind folks that we're going to have the delegate assembly meeting in October, 18th and 19th, and I'll attend that. I've already sent information to Heather about registering me for that meeting. And so as we go along, we're going to get information about possible. I forgot the language. possible
Resolution.
Resolutions, additional resolutions for the
yeah,
district, right?
resolutions that districts are going to be putting out there. You're gonna get a resolution book come August, no, I think it's gonna be end of September. And then any feedback you have for me about voting, because that's what we'll do. We'll go through all of these resolutions and vote for them. If we have resolutions, want to think over the summer, we have until August 28th to turn in resolutions. So anything you might have, let's all try to think about that. And if we have any, and if we don't, that's fine too. We don't have to have any.
And when will we be able to give feedback around the delegate assembly, the resolutions that are?
So it closes at the end of August, so I figured they'll put the packet together by mid-September.
Okay,
This is gonna be about mid-October when we have it. I think it's mid-October.
yeah, October 18th, 19th.
And so I expect that it will be probably somewhere around mid to later September that we'll get that packet.
Okay,
And then finally, we have the CASB annual convention. That's December 5th through the 7th. That's the one we always go to, so you want to have that on your agenda. But I'll talk more and more about that as it comes up.
along with
And then-
student voice, if that is what.
What's that?
Along with student voice
With the voice
attendees.
in that along, yeah, exactly, so, and then they also have the McGuffey Award out now, so it's open for anybody to submit a McGuffey Award. A McGuffey Award is really about any board wanting to highlight a board member that they feel is passionate and committed to the work that we're doing in that district. So, yeah, it might be again, something we wanna bring forward. And that's it.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions? Good. Mr. Cordray, it is the superintendent report.
Okay, just a few things I wanted to highlight. First of all, one of the things in your packet is the first draft of the Mancos School District Facilities Department SOP. So I hope you had an opportunity to review it. This is our template for all the departments throughout the district. There's about 10 departments. And I commend this department for being first, leading the way, building the templates. I think the work here that they did is really good. I find it to be exceptional, and I'm really appreciative. It's also very much aligned with our MTSS practices and our school district's priority on being systems oriented rather than just individuals oriented, because we know individuals do come and go, and systems have a way of being sustaining. And we can sustain best practices, and the best way to do that is through really thoughtful standard operating procedures. So, yes,
Quick question on that one. Are we gonna keep the admin assistant for that position?
no,
Okay, because it is in there a couple times.
yes,
Okay.
twice.
And I actually, my question on that was.
Sure.
I would like at some point to have an idea of what pieces are templated and what is going to be rewritten per department.
Mhm.
Like which pieces are very applicable to those departments? Is it a score, a certain paragraph? So that we can look at them with the right set of eyes as we go forward instead of doing the work over and over. I'd love to know which pieces are really gonna be specific to those departments.
That's a really intriguing question. I hadn't thought of that at all. That's
Because a
really
lot of this
interesting.
is kind of boilerplate.
Yes.
Right.
Any
Yeah, exactly. So
department.
that's why this first one was so important to get done.
And what are the other departments?
Oh, there's IT, food service, bus, transportation, safety, nursing, communication, business. Thank you, yeah.
So we should probably put that list together too.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have it.
It only lives in my head. I don't really have it
Then we should have it.
Yeah,
Well, we'll put the list together, okay. But I think it would be very helpful for all of you if you just knew, these things will never change.
Yeah.
But these pieces always change, and that will be easier for you when you look at it ongoing as well. You'll only have to look at one full document and then parts of the other documents.
yeah.
Work smarter.
The next thing I'd like to touch base on is, we're doing really well with hiring folks. We don't have very many openings. However, the openings we do have is we have an opening for an elementary ESS teacher and a secondary ESS para. And I'm concerned that we're not going to find an elementary ESS teacher. And so I've been thinking about strategies and discussing different strategies with Chrissy and my colleagues, other superintendents. And one of the ways other school districts have addressed this matter is that ESS teachers are on a slightly different salary schedule. So I think that's something for us to consider for that additional, try to find additional benefit to get those positions filled. We've really struggled with this for the last several years. And it's something that's very much on my mind.
We've been without a teacher in the elementary for a year,
Couple of years.
couple of years?
October of last school year.
Correct, October of last,
And then we hired
right,
Shanna for a few months.
right, to cover. So what you're telling us is, in the absence of being able to attract this specific position, it may help us attract that specific position if we have a little bit more of a stipend to go, or a salary.
A salary,
A
yeah.
salary, if we increase our salary to
The,
go on with it.
yes, because we have anywhere from probably 4 to 7 current staff members that have that endorsement, but haven't raised their hand for this role.
Mhm.
And because it could be a very challenging role.
And it also would increase the salary for anyone sitting in one of those positions currently, correct?
That's right. And we do currently have 2 other ESS teachers.
And it would also increase the salary for the paraprofessional as well,
No, this would just be teacher.
just the teacher.
Is what I'm looking at right now.
And the reason I bring that up is because we've had a lot of conversation around paraprofessionals and
Mhm.
retaining we use paraprofessionals throughout the district, but ESS paraprofessionals seem to be those that turn over the most.
Right, and
Are we short-sighting ourselves not to consider both of those
well, we
options?
did have a really good conversation on this last month as it related to ESS paras that do get additional education to that behavioral interventionist education. And we've started a process of partnering with San Juan BOCES as well as Archuleta School District to kind of pilot the additional education needed for a behavioral intervention specialist para. And so that was part of the conversation we had last month as well.
So they were, so I'm gonna go back to Emily's question, Todd, because I think,
Yes,
so the para behavioral person is one position.
yes,
Then you have the para, that's a special ed para,
yes,
that is
Correct,
not
yes.
a behavior specialist.
that's correct.
But I'm gonna ask this because they're in the same boat, just dealing with the same kids a lot of times. At one point or another, if they choose to get more knowledgeable or take the classes of the behavior, can they be put up
The same.
in salary?
Yes,
Can
yeah,
they choose to do that even though they are considered a classroom instructional para?
as long as we have the vacancy in that role.
Okay, so, but if it's full, then you're, even though they might choose to, or they might want to, if there isn't a position, you won't increase their salary for them to get educated.
Not at this point,
Okay,
but that's a really important question to ponder.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking that those guys in my mind are in the same boat as special ed teachers.
Mhm.
After a certain point, they are like, because they're dealing with a lot of our same kids.
Yeah, and I'm certainly open to being very flexible with that thinking, because it's been an area we've really struggled,
Yeah,
and it's caused a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
It's really,
It sucks for the
and
kids.
it's been horrible for the kids, for
Right.
student outcomes. And it really's affected a lot of morale
Right,
for even
Right.
with, the gen ed teachers. that
Yeah.
Everyone's.
it's a big vicious
Everybody's
circle.
impacted.
Everyone's influenced,
It's
so
a big-
I'm open, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to also be financially
Right,
cognizant.
and I know that it's a financial deal, but that's where we've got to like come to some conclusion around priorities.
The cost of turnover,
And whatever can help our students, can help our teachers in the classroom, I'm gonna support that,
Yeah.
especially with critical things.
Mhm.
When it comes to teaching every day and what you come to work every day to do, I mean, it's
Yes.
hard stuff, so it's something that we should really look at as we move forward around, is that a priority? Should that be something we figure out, we're gonna put some money into that?
Yeah, I really appreciate this conversation.
yeah,
And based on online, the job openings we have right now, we have 4 para openings, correct? There's one in the middle school,
Yeah, one in
and
elementary.
it's not showing in elementary right now, it's showing a 1-to-1 in the middle school, it's showing a moderate and effective needs in the secondary, and it's showing 2 academics in the secondary, is all that's listed right now. The special education teacher in the elementary, but for paras, it's showing those 4. Are we having applications for them at all?
So I think,
That needs to be
Heather, do you know how many of
updated.
those are filled? It's either 1 or 2 are filled,
Okay,
so
because I know
that
that
just
we have
needs to
some
be
later.
updated.
Okay,
Yeah, but to your question, I didn't get a chance, I was gonna ask Heather that, have we got any recent applications?
We had one lady call and ask about it, but I haven't seen.
Okay, so really
same
no.
thing, we're not getting
Yes.
applications for either the teacher or the
Right.
parents.
well, retention is another part of this conversation that
Right.
we've all watched
Yeah.
over the many, many years, that even if we have an application, we start the year, within the first half of the year, we're losing people every single year. So the cost of that turnover of that employee, not just administratively, but the time, right, that it's taking all of our staff, all of our administration to orient them, to do the paperwork, for them to fold into the district. We're looking at, trauma-informed training, which is critical to the ESS roles specifically. And we are struggling with providing trauma-informed training on the regular to those that need it. We're balancing that because there's a cost. I think if we could find a balance between raising the pay scales for any person who is within that ESS role, whether it be teacher or paraprofessional, 1-to-1 or not, that you will make up for that on the backside of not having to bring in so much retraining and these guys not having to spend so much time hiring and interviewing, and you're just spinning in circles. I would rather see us spend and try to retain than continue to we're doing the same thing over and over.
And it's really been our building level principals that spent all that time, seeking out candidates, reviewing packets, interviewing, and so on, and we've not had good success.
We're not attracting really the right people, right? That are coming into these positions, understanding what it means to serve as a paraprofessional to the ESS group of kiddos.
I mean, that's where that again, thinking in terms of getting some training.
Training.
Even up front,
Right,
even, a week of it before they even hit kids,
right.
getting training from BOCES or whoever's gonna do that. But I also will say, we're having problems with subs too. We're having problems putting subs in there because subs are saying, I don't wanna do special needs.
Right.
Because it's been very challenging for them walking in there, and I have to be honest, without background, I'd be like, no, thanks. I'll go on the regular ed, but, some of the challenges are tough, so again, it's one of those deals where we might consider certain subs getting paid a certain amount.
Correct.
Train, again, ahead of time,
Great.
and knowing that if they're gonna get paid a certain amount, that they're committed
To this particular piece.
That's a really, that's
It's just another idea, it's all money, but it's.
But this is money I would
Worth it.
fully support spending because I think it will come back around to you with some retention
Yeah.
and well-served families, well-served children. You know, there's nothing that bothers me more than when we pour into employees, send them on training, send them away. We're talking about travel in relation to evaluating our district. I don't understand the spend when that person's not there in 6 months. I would rather support your spend on really building a quality team. Yep, up front from start to substitute. That's a great point. I would be fully for that. I don't know. You have my support. Go spend the money.
Spend money, spend away.
Chrissy's over there writing down.
She is, she's got her notes going.
I do.
So the next topic I wanted to touch base on is, we have a really good, school resource officer committee working right now. About 10 individuals from, you know, that are being incredibly thoughtful, very, considering all aspects of this really important decision. They met last Tuesday night, they're meeting again tomorrow night. There's a town hall at the community center on the 25th, a week from Tuesday. So really good work, really good research is going into this. Very difficult, challenging questions are being asked. So they're doing terrific groundwork to bring forth to the board whatever recommendation they will bring. So we'll see a recommendation at the end of the summer. At this point, I don't know what that recommendation will be, but they're being an incredibly thoughtful group, working as one of the district admin to support that group. I can tell you they're really collecting good data. And so that's really, I'm really impressed with that group. The next thing I want to touch base on is we do continue to make progress, just exploring the idea of staff housing. Colorado Housing and Finance Authority is providing resources for us. The town of Memphis is providing resources for us in the way of expertise. We're reviewing the phase 2 evaluation of the bus barn site tomorrow. So not a more.
The study, you mean?
The study.
So it's done?
It's
The
done.
Phase 2 study is done?
Yes, and we're having a debrief on that tomorrow.
Could you send me a copy of that?
Yes, I can.
I would like to see that too.
I'd be happy to.
Actually, I'll see you tomorrow, so I'll just look at it.
Oh, great. And Tim, I'll make sure to get that to you because I know that's an area where you have a lot of knowledge.
Thank you.
Tim and Todd, I know that there was something that was sent out about a housing development that occurred that you were working on, that maybe was available for staff or staff member, or did I read that wrong?
There's the duplex, the workforce housing duplex they're taking applications right now. They started that about 2 weeks ago, I don't know where they're at in that program. They have one half of that duplex, they're housing AmeriCorps. They're AmeriCorps volunteers for the summer. The other half is up for rental.
Okay, so there's not, so I was mistaken to
No.
think that there was a teacher, like an apartment possibly, that was available just to teacher.
Not just to teachers, but it's income
It's
based.
income-based.
Yes, but I did share it with our staff
Okay,
because, and that's probably what you saw.
yeah,
They sent me the information. I shared it with the staff because it's a really nice property that Tim built. And it'd be ideal for perhaps some staff housing.
okay,
And it's gonna be, and it's on a variable rate scheduled
okay,
for the rents.
okay.
And it provides also a little bit of a model for us as we consider these things over time also. The next thing I wanted to touch base on is I'm in the process of organizing an admin professional development on July 30th and 31st. We'll be partnering with Ignacio School District and San Juan BOCES to get our admin leadership, some training in HR and other things. This is an area where, the HR world continues to get more and more complex. We had a whole new thing of Title IX rollout in the late spring, early summer. So partnering with another school district that's our size and the BOCES is a good way to build camaraderie in our region as we all build knowledge also. And Ignacio is providing their classrooms for our breakout sessions. And so I'm very appreciative to Mr. DeKay for volunteering his school, and also for Royce and Chris joining me in putting this together. And then finally, at the end of the year, we had some staff changes, and I just wanted to give you just a brief update on how we're doing. I must say, Destry Lockhart in the new role of facilities director is kicking butt.
She's a superwoman.
Her knowledge level is really impressive, and frankly, her diligence has been really terrific. So she's really just at it full speed ahead. Mr. Custer, in the role of safety and security coordinator, is getting himself trimmed up. He's been to 2 or 3 virtual trainings. He's asking all the right questions. And he is another one of those candidates for an SOP just like this. And his thoughtful professional demeanor is a really nice fit for that role. In the role of activities and athletics, Mr. Horton hired 4 varsity head coaches about 2 weeks ago. We went through a really thorough evaluation process. And we had staff, parents, all on the interview committee, and made some great hires that are before you today for that. So Mr. Horton is really taking on a sense of ownership in that role and is doing a really good job there as well. And then another role, which is going to bear a lot of fruits in the spring and going forward for the school district in the future, is Mrs. Eschelier in the role of district-wide GT and ELL director. And this has been a long time in coming, and I'm very excited for what this is going to mean for our kids. So I just want to give you an update because we did have some changes there at the end of the school year, and I just wanted to let you know how those are progressing. And Madam President, that's my report.
I think it's really also very beneficial to point out that you have, people think that you're going away for summer break, but in reality, much of our staff does not go away for summer break, and they're all still even on campus and continuing to work. And I think that it's worth acknowledging and their efforts. You also had in your notes CDL. Is there anything
Oh,
CDL?
yeah, thank you for reminding me.
Sanitary.
I flew right past it. So we did make some really good progress with our inaugural CDL program. We had 2 students that are well on their way to getting their Class A CDL license. They both have passed all the paperwork. They've done the training. They're just finishing up. We have one that I think will be receiving his CDL any day now. So really, really great. And then we have 2 staff members that are getting their bus driver CDL so they could be emergency bus drivers. Because as you know, we have 3 routes, we have 3 bus drivers, and we have BART. So we really needed to build a little capacity there, and that remains on track. We should have those emergency bus driver CDLs completed by the middle of July.
And will we do that program again?
Yes.
And when?
It will, starting in the fall, and it'll also be a regional program. We'll be not only supporting Mankit School District, but Dolores, Cortez, maybe Dove Creek, as we continue through this progress. This is a program that Janet is managing for us as part of her, her role as CTE director. This is really one of those career opportunities that's gonna continue to bear fruit. And I don't know of another school district that's doing this in the state.
Well, they're all joining us.
So it's really great, and we have a good local partner that's out of Hesperus that's helping us with this as well.
Is Bob teaching that?
Yes, and so that was part of building the sustainability. We were able to upgrade Bart's CDL licensure, and he is now an official trainer. He just got back last week from getting some CDE training he can now be a trainer for the safety aspects of bus riding also. He just shared that with me today. So he's really embraced this. It's really built our capacity in that transportation department across the board.
Excellent.
It's fun. Yeah, it's cool.
We're gonna go back to
I've done the
school.
bus driver training.
Yeah.
Already, but.
Well, and I think it's also important for safety and security. I'd like for us to be able to do an evacuation if we ever needed to, just from a point of safety and security.
Excellent. Any other questions? Chrissy, business manager report?
Okay, well, presenting you with the June budget. There's not a ton of changes from the May budget. Mainly the things I want to point out, well, for general fund, there's not a lot of changes. There's that new ending fund balance graph here. So we're looking at, ending this new budget. So this time next year, we're looking at ending our reserves with 2.6 million in the bank. If we end up spending everything that we have on this deficit spend list, if it all
Comes through.
comes through. On paper, that's what will happen, but if there's other unspent money within the budget that can offset some of these things, we won't be spending this total amount. Let's have to wait and see how it plays out. But this is like the worst case scenario, if this is what, just so you know, it will be at this time next year. Okay. So really with general fund, there wasn't a ton other than we did collect the money for that window grant. So that money's sitting in our bank account, so I have to roll it over into our beginning fund balance. Deficit spend that money when we go to do the window project, which I think is gonna happen over the summer. It's just, I don't have all the details with that, but. So that's why that general fund deficit spend went up, was based on that grant.
Okay.
Okay. The main thing I wanted to bring to your attention was the cap reserve account. Just for the fact that I trued up all the numbers before they were all just quotes, kind of things in there of, for the refinishing of the gym floor, for the middle school roof. And the middle school roof is what I really want to bring to your attention because it has doubled in cost. So in May, we had a $50,000 placeholder in the budget for that. And as you can see, it is going to be $100,227 to do the work on the middle school roof.
What happened? Do we know? Was it after like evaluation? More
Well,
damage?
the 50,000 I had was just kind of based off of a pure guess that Travis had given me because he was thinking it would be pretty similar to what we were doing with the Blue Jay gym, the little J gym. And come to find out, it's needing a lot more work over there.
Well, they're
And
doing a complete strip down the deck.
yeah,
That's, and redoing with their basement buildings and everything else.
yeah, there's just so many leaks over there and it's trickling into other classrooms in different areas. So they feel like if we just get this handled, we should hopefully.
Is there
eliminate.
some oversight of these guys that are doing that? Because they excluded any deck repairs once they stripped that down, and that's a place where, not to put a bad light on roofers, but they play that game a lot
Mhm.
as add-ons and extras and upcharges.
That I
repairing
don't
the
know.
deck.
I don't have an answer to
I don't know either.
Sounds like you need to call Destry.
That's what I was gonna say, if you wanna work with Destry, she would probably love.
The
to talk with you
expertise.
anyway.
Exactly.
Okay, 'cause that's like I say, on the roofs, especially when you're doing these flat roofs with EPM and redoing the structure, when they specifically exclude any deck repairs, that's a red flag to me saying they're gonna charge you for stuff.
Oh, that's good. So, yeah, if you would get in touch with her tomorrow, that'd be awesome. If you don't mind, or have
I
her
don't
call
mind
you,
at all.
whatever you'd like to
I
do.
want us to be efficient about our expenditures. We're responsible for taxpayer money.
Mhm. Yeah, because they're planning on delivering, material next Monday, the 24th, for both roofs. Because they're gonna be done simultaneously, just because they're already here, it'll save the district around $15,000 to $20,000 with them already being on site. To just jump from one roof to the other,
Right.
so that's why we did it this way, just because the little J gym roof was supposed to be fixed about a year ago at this time, and it just didn't happen, so we're doubling there to get them done. But I wanted to bring that to your attention in that cap reserve, because it is twice as expensive as what we proposed in May. So with that being said, we are gonna have to deficit spend a little bit out of there to cover all the costs for these projects that we have listed on that cap reserve account. So, you know, when it's all said and done, we're only gonna have an ending fund balance of about $72,000 in that account for anything moving forward. But we are getting 2 buses out of there. We're replacing basically the 2 roofs, we're buying new copiers, and we're getting those gym floors down to the nitty gritty. Those are going way down to the base of everything and refinished also, and that's why that's a little more expensive. So it was a big year for these projects, there's no doubt about it.
A lot of capital
And
expenditures.
the welding shop, that was because they did the, they came and did
The
the auditor inspection and, yeah. Okay.
Yep, and so that has to be done, and so we got a new quote, because the other one was out, the date. So anyway, what you see there is what's happening, it's been signed and we're committed. And I believe it's happening over the summer as well. I think all these projects are coming, or should hopefully be done by the time school starts.
Well, and that welding shop is also the product of a lot of new equipment in there. So it's a really positive thing. One way to look at this is it's a lot of expense. The other way to look at it too is it's an upgrade to all of our capital assets.
And I want to take, the welding shop demolition will not be done over the summer. I have to take that back. They're gonna have to do that sometime during the school year. But I don't know how that's gonna work, but Destry's working to.
Start the ventilation.
Yeah, Destry's working on that, scheduling that, and I can't remember, it might be done in September sometime. So she's gonna work with everybody to at least impact the kids as much as possible when that gets done. So she's on board with that. But really, other than that, in this budget, there's not a lot of difference since I presented that May budget to you guys in the work session. Unless there's some questions that I can answer if you.
I think Emily asked this, but I might have missed it. I was looking at some, yeah. Why is it double again, the roofing situation?
The original $50,000 that was in the May budget was just a figure that Travis had given me just to put in the budget, thinking it would be about that basic cost.
Okay.
But when we actually got people out here to assess it and give us an actual bid,
Right.
it was $100,000.
Okay.
So I was like, holy cow. But it'll get done, it'll be done hopefully correctly. We'll have the warranties in place, we'll get all that dialed in, and hopefully moving forward, we'll be okay with our roofing situation. Because it's a lot of money.
And it's been a while.
And it
I mean, I
has,
thought he's been leaking for,
it has for a long time, and it's just time to get it fixed, so. But other than that, though, honestly, you guys, unless somebody has a question, there's
So,
not a lot of difference from May.
This is maybe just, I mean, Todd, you were there, I think we've been told this 2 years in a row. And you were there last, when the students spoke with us about the bathrooms. They are having trouble with the bathrooms. And I don't specifically know what kind of trouble they're having with the bathrooms.
It doesn't sound
But I
pleasant.
think part of it has to do with many of the bathrooms that are in the high school, and they're referring to those bathrooms mostly, don't have, like, they don't have doors. to
the
them.
doors don't
They're
lock.
like they're wide open. And
I guess I need us to understand more from students about what the issue is in the bathrooms. So that we can get better understanding and possibly see how we might be able to address that in the next fiscal year or whenever we can.
Well,
Because-
it's also needs to be relayed down to Destry,
Yeah,
Right,
right?
absolutely,
Because who
sure.
knows if she's even aware.
Oh,
I don't know that she is. I'm only bringing this up because
Yeah.
this is 2 years in a row that we've interviewed students and they've told us that
Mhm.
they really
Issues.
don't have, they have problems, but I haven't been able to get specifics about what the issue is. So I think we need to investigate it
Yeah.
as we move forward for the next, whatever, period of fiscal year, because I heard, again, that it has to, one of the issues is there's no doors on these, and they're going to the bathroom and they don't feel like they have privacy to do that. And, but I don't know that that's the total issue, or that is the issue, or, I'm kind of guessing.
Well, yeah, I'll walk through the bathrooms tomorrow and just give you just a cursory review tomorrow and then take it further.
So, yeah, because I know these ones don't lock. The one down here on this floor,
Okay.
there are doors, but they don't lock.
Okay,
So that could be the issue too, but.
I'll walk through them all tomorrow.
yeah.
You know, just in support of Destry and her role, because I know that she supported a lot in her previous roles, mostly athletics. I would encourage you, Todd, to support her in being able to do those walkthroughs and evaluate the needs and almost put together a wish list, even as crazy as it might be, right? Of these are the things that we would really love to have, right? So that we can come up with a scope of, with student voice, staff voice, realistic budgetary constraints, and be able to work together to go through and say, this matters, even though a bathroom door may not matter to us, it might really matter to a student, right? So I would encourage us to support Destry in being able to launch in this position and empower her to lead an effort of audit. Because quite frankly, I don't remember really ever seeing something like that. We've seen, some planning, but nothing along those lines. And you have a lot of expertise on this board. I mean, Tim has been a builder most of your career and you have inroads into roofing companies and contacts and people don't know it, but I oversee build outs across the entire country. There were grant opportunities through CASB, which I know Janet took advantage of one on the windows. Maybe we can connect some dots and really push some success with Janet and Destry and your expertise that you have sitting here. You run a restaurant, there's a lot of expertise here that's willing to help. We all realize we're working with a 100-plus-year-old building or a campus that has issues that are gonna pop up here and there. I've been looking at those leaking elementary school roofs since my son went to school there, and it was supposed to be managed through the bond or through the VEST grant, and it still was leaking, and that's frustrating, because you build it out below, and then you leak on top of it, and then the teachers are upset, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So let's support her into doing something that's never been done before. I would love to see that.
Yeah, and Tim, I will send you the gentleman's name, or it might be on that bid too, if you wanna talk to them directly too.
Okay.
Cause I know on that roof stuff with
Okay.
Destry, and you guys just make sure,
And I'll be glad to work with Destry on oversight.
she would appreciate that, I know that.
Mm,
That'd be great,
yeah, that's an important thing.
I agree. So
And it's
thank
not
you for
small
that.
dollars either.
No,
it's not
So
small.
your expertise and a few hours of your time could end up saving
Oh, yeah,
many thousands of dollars for
Appreciate
the
that.
district.
thank you. And they're gonna start on this gym, the little J gym first. So that's what I'm starting. But she can give you the details tomorrow on that.
Okay.
too. So I appreciate that.
I would also add to that list to investigate the heating and cooling system in the Performance Center, because graduation was hot.
And it's not just that, the old gym's bad too.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know you wanted to
I mean,
open windows,
I
but we were
went to,
like, they
like-
don't open.
I know, I saw that, but yeah, volleyball games last year were just awful.
Yeah, we do need to
But-
look at something there.
Okay, well, we're fully supportive and I, for one, am very excited that Dusty's in that position, so.
And I just wanted to bring up one quick thing about the contracts that are on for approval tonight for coaching. Those were the ones that were just hired. So the fall, you know how we were talking about trying to get everybody approved prior to the season beginning? Well, we're not gonna have a meeting in July, so you're gonna see.
It's gonna follow later.
Yes, but what we can do is, and we wanted to let Lewis get in his role,
Right.
be the one doing all of that. So that's why we don't have cross-country on there, but you know. So anyway, as soon as all those get decided, everything's dialed in, we can let you know ahead of time, just so you're aware of what's happening. But we won't bring them to you until the August meeting. And practices will have already started.
Right, I would like to have a discussion or ask you to have a discussion around contract dates.
Mhm.
And the reason that I think that discussion is important is that at this point in time, the contracts are July 1st through June 30th, and it causes some confusion in the specifically with those fall sports, because many of them, the timing of that switch over, where people are starting to jump in and work with those kids in preparation for the next year. That work is already starting at the end of the school year and going into June. So anytime you have any type of coaching change, which is going to happen, you have crossover.
Mhm.
And that culturally is not good. And unless you have a very rich relationship, if there's any type of crossover where your coaching isn't always the same, it creates turmoil. And that turmoil, what happens with turmoil is it filters down into those kids. And I think it could be easily fixed through a simple adjustment of a contract date, where your contracts run June 1st to May 31st.
But it crosses fiscal year that way, so we can't do that.
Is there a way that we can ask Chris if there's like, can we, why does it have to be a whole fiscal year?
It's just the way it has to be, because you have to keep all business within that current year.
Maybe we could look at the contract itself, look at the clause of the contract, put some type of language in the contract. There's gotta be a way to write these coaching contracts that is very clear for the coaches, that filters all the way down to the kids and the families. Because right now, I don't think that the practice doesn't match the language.
So honestly, the way it should work is if we do hire somebody in the summer, that should come forth to you during the summer months and say, hey, we need to approve this person, so that way they can be out there working, they've been fingerprinted, they've gone through the
Correct.
process. To where they can, so if we hire somebody at the end of May and they're gonna do some open gyms or whatever they're gonna do in June,
Mhm.
they're covered. But, and if we do a small stipend or whatever we do to get them through that month, fine, and then their real contract then another contract would be issued for the following year.
Right,
Does that make
So
sense?
from a business perspective,
Yeah.
certainly she has to stay within a year. That's
I
just
do.
business.
Yeah.
but it's also
Process.
hard though, when you have the outgoing person who
Later.
still has
Right.
keys and who's still on, and we're trying to have camps, and there's like,
And hopefully
that's,
with
that's the hard thing.
We've talked to, Mr. Horton, obviously.
I was just gonna say, can he help us?
He will, and
Good.
he's talked about that, and he's got ideas in place on how
Cool.
to make that happen, get those
Cool.
resignation letters immediately, so we can do the
Yeah.
transfer over to
So-
whoever.
Just for
That's
clarity,
all I need.
just for clarity, Emily, you're concerned that someone has been doing it all year. A new person is hired, but they don't talk to each other for
Sure.
the transition,
Sure.
right? That's what you're worried about?
I'm worried about that transition
Yeah.
because we've definitely seen where, and I get it, because a lot of it's the passion of the sport, right?
Yeah.
It's the passion of these kids in the sport, or they get, I get it.
Yeah.
But it's just like a transition in a job.
Right,
You don't get to hang around at your job for a while somebody else is doing it.
right.
That's not the way it works. There's gotta be a cutoff. So we need to figure out how other districts
Right.
in whatever state, what's the best practice? How do they do that? I do believe that Mr. Horton, with his previous experience, can help us walk through that and put something into place where we can alleviate some of those tougher conversations and some of those hard feelings and some of those kids that are feeling that. And that's the piece that gets me, is when I'm hearing from kids and families and it's affecting our student athletics, which should be a positive experience for them. That is not okay.
Yep, hopefully moving forward, that will be dialed in. And we'll go through a process of hiring and terminating and have, resignation letters, get keys, do the whole 9 yards.
Right.
As soon
And
as
backgrounds and that, I love that too.
Sometime, I don't know if we could put this on a future agenda, whether it's in August or whatever. And get Mr. Horton maybe
overtime.
either to present some information or Chrissy bring back some information about how we can correct that. That transition, or what you guys are thinking in terms of trying to correct that.
It's on my notes too.
I'm sure Mr. Burton would love to do that. He's dialed in, he's gonna do great.
Not surprised.
Yeah,
Okay, are we ready to move on?
I don't have anything else unless you guys have more questions.
Questions about this?
Just remember, the June budget is a very educated guess.
Good guess.
Because things are gonna shift a ton between June and January.
Mhm.
So just keep that in mind. So we did the best we could with what we had.
Yeah.
And then we'll make adjustments as needed, true up numbers, when you get that final budget in January.
Mhm.
So,
Thank you for all your hard work.
Yep.
It is not easy. And it's a constant moving target, to
It
your
is.
point.
you already have a list of things to fix in January. We haven't even approved this.
All right. Okay, and we do have a resolution to read later. We are up to discuss the objective report 1A. Well, so the strategic plan PBL object, so normally that first item is if we're reviewing,
Oh,
but
gotcha.
we don't have anything else
If you want, I could quickly just do a quick debrief on,
on the 5th.
Yeah.
That would be great. I thought
does
about
that sound
that.
good? And I guess the board probably would like to jump in too. So on the 5th, the Board of Education was here for a full day, and we did our second year in a row where we evaluate the strategic plan. And then we make whatever changes are that need to be made based on what we learned this year. It's a great way to keep the strategic plan a living, breathing document aligned to our constituents' needs and desires so that we can get the best outcome possible, for our kids. So we did that. We met for 6 hours. We reviewed all the objectives. We had the admin team here along with the Board of Education. And I was really pleased with how it went. I thought it was a very dynamic, robust, thorough conversation on how we make the strategic plan better year over year. What was your guys' input?
I thought it was great. We got through things. It didn't drag on like some of those sessions can. We were to the point and got stuff done, I think.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, we simplified a lot of it. We added just a few, but mostly we kind of simplified things. We saw things that overlapped. I think the main thing is the strat plan objectives, I think, are all in line. It's redoing a lot of the rubrics and a lot of the wording to make it more measurable. Is I think where a lot of the work's gonna be for this summer.
So to that end, we will have the revised strategic plan available at the end of July. I doubt we'll have it for the board retreat on July 16th, but we'll have it at the end of July. And then the updated strategic plan all staff members will get the updated strategic plan by August 7th at the latest. New staff orientation will get the strategic plan. We do the strategic plan orientation for new staff. That'll be on August 8th. And so it'll be part of our conversation that we have with staff around the district goals on August 7th in the morning.
In August summit, we're gonna get feedback from the staff around the goals.
Yes.
Going through that process, we went.
Yeah, we'll do the gallery walk with staff to make, and they'll be giving us, their input on the strategic plan. And on the district goals for FY 25. And then after that, we'll share it with our parents for the final codification, if you will, of the goals, and then they'll come back to the board for approval at their next.
Lots of good things being done. Also, we will be rolling in, since we are participating and invited as a board on that August 7th for the goal conversation, we will also identify, which will be related to the entire board in July. We're going to identify 4 individual PD days, 1 per quarter, where the board will be invited to attend the staff meetings, the district-wide staff meeting that happens on PD, that PD timing in the morning. And we hope to be able to accomplish the board staff connection to really be able to hear staff voice in a more, I don't want to say informal, but in a way in which we're somewhat folded in, but it not being so formal, so that we are available to our district and our staff by participating quarterly in a formal staff meeting. So that's coming too, and those dates will be released way in advance so we can put them on our calendars. I think that what we will find, if I have to make a prediction around linkage, is I think that some of our linkage exercises will become as formal as they started. I think over time, the formality, there will be parts that stick, but the informality, because of the process of just developing the conversation and opening it up, is going to probably positively affect the district more so than anything. Because now we can have the conversations and they're not just planned and pinned and they have to be formal, but they're just happening and that's okay. When in the past that had never been happening. And I think that's through and through. So it's a positive thing, very positive. We are going to move on to objective report 1A. If I have it here, I will read that. This report, we are set to vote on this report, so I'll just read the objective quickly. Memphis School District connects students with local professionals, businesses, and organizations via project-based learning. Proficiency indicators: Memphis School District students at 80% of grade levels have connected with local professionals, businesses, and organizations for guest speaker field trip, field experience, and career talk opportunities. 80% of PBL projects include the gold standard design element of authenticity by including connections to real-world professionals and/or experiences. Community volunteer presence on our PK-12 campus buildings is commonplace in most buildings, and student work in the form of exhibitions and public products are a consistent and visible part of our local community. Audion did put together a rubric, and it was recommended that we continue our rating at approaching standard, which is the rating that we were also at during last 22-23 school year as well. Does anybody have any commentary? Or it's a pretty impressive report with a multitude of participation, including many of us across the board. I'd love to have your feedback. Anyone? I can share a recent PBL project.
I'm continually impressed with the quality of the reports coming to us. This one, although some of it is actually at standard, the approaching standard is I think, a fair approximation of where we're at. There's a lot of programs in here that our kids are participating in, and that's exciting.
Yes.
Agreed. I think that if I could also just point a couple of things out. When, as a parent, when my son enrolled in this district, it was really important to me to be able to be inside the walls of the district, and I did that through volunteering. And I started off by volunteering on a parent committee at the preschool, which morphed into me sitting here 10 years later. But in saying that, we have a program in the elementary called Watchdogs, which is just for the dads, and it encourages the dads to volunteer. But I will say, I don't believe that I have ever volunteered to do anything with any teacher where I've ever been told no. And if anything, our staff and our teachers are so exceptionally welcoming of bringing people into the district, but sometimes as parents, we have to raise our hands because our staff is so incredibly focused on the goals that they may have in front of them for that day, that class, that objective, whatever is going on in the world, that they're not always thinking. They're not always thinking ahead of, oh yeah, we could ask that person for this. So I would encourage parents and community members to speak out, and if you think you have something to offer, say, because more than likely, there is a place for you to participate inside the school district. And I've seen, Mr. Campbell and others through the entrepreneurship program that come from Fort Lewis, and just many, many people that are part of our community, may not have kids in the district, but even just community members that have raised their hand and made a difference. Almost anything real world experience can be deemed, hey, this is something that we can put into practice in this class or with this project or with this learning. We just ask that, I would encourage that people raise their hands to do that. It's not easy to go out and find it as a teacher. You do a lot of it. I mean, you're employing, people trying to teach them trades. I over the summer, just this last week, had 6 of our students at my biannual conference for a National Franchise Academy, and they were able to observe 350 people at a conference for multiple days, and I put them all to work, and they saw the event happen from start to finish and came out with a lot of, I think, things that they had no idea that that's how the real world worked. And so the exposure through our community is just could not be more valuable. This report reflects that. It's hard to capture, which is why it's a very lengthy report. And I would encourage people to read it. It'll be online. Do we have any, Leon's not here, but is there any questions? I know we've already discussed this a couple of times. Or any highlights you guys want to point out?
I think what I want to look at is we do have a system that it's our rapid background check system. And for everyone who signs in when they're coming into the buildings, we had over 500 sign-ins from outside visitors, and a total of 1,900 hours that were spent in the school system. And I thought that was pretty cool as far as like the volunteer and visiting. So that encompasses everybody, the watchdogs and everybody. But yeah, so over 500 different people or different sign-ins and 1,900 hours.
That's amazing. And that doesn't even include those that don't have to sign in because we have a badge to get in and we're still volunteering. I bet if we really tracked our volunteer hours, it would be double that. That's what I would think. That's pretty impressive. Very impressive work. And impressive that our teachers are rolling that in and open-minded, and it's making a difference.
I move that we accept objective report 1A as a purchasing standard.
I second that.
Any discussion? Heather, will you call the question?
Victor Figueroa.
Aye.
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown.
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Okay. We are on to consent motion for action items.
I move for consent for action items A through N.
Oh, I second that.
Any discussion before we
We have to read the other.
A through N? Yep.
Agreed.
Heather, call the question.
Victor Figueroa.
Aye.
Tim Hunter.
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown.
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
And I will make a motion for authorizing use of a proportion of the beginning fund balance as authorized by Colorado statute, whereas Colorado Revised Statutes 2244-105 states that a budget duly adopted pursuant to this article shall not provide for expenditures, interfund transfers, or reserves in excess of available revenues in beginning fund balance. Whereas the Board of Education may authorize the use of a portion of the beginning fund balance in the budget stating the amount to be used, the purpose for which the expenditure is needed, the district's plan to ensure that the use of the beginning fund balance will not lead to an ongoing deficit. Whereas the Board of Education has determined the beginning fund balance is sufficient to allow for the one-time expenditure and the action will not lead to an ongoing deficit. Now therefore be it resolved in accordance with Colorado Revised Statutes 2244-105, the Board of Education authorizes the use of a portion of the fiscal year 25 beginning fund balance for the following funds. From the general fund, for a total amount of $551,976.97. Of this amount, $37,700 will be used to provide professional development to district staff for project-based learning. $81,000 to be used for the purchase of Chromebooks, laptops, and servers, as well as other technology equipment for the district. $172,000 will be transferred to the capital reserve fund. $39,476.97 for general operating expenses. $221,800 are funds carried over from the unspent school security disbursement grant collected in fiscal year 24 to purchase repair windows in the high school safety class for administrative assistance offices and safety bollards steel barriers. In the capital reserve fund for a total amount of $195,718.33. Of this amount, $173,500 will be used to purchase two 2019 Bluebird FE77 passenger buses, and $22,218.33 will be used to fund a portion of the total cost to install the loading shock ventilation system. And for the preschool fund for $5,500, which will be used for operating expenses. Be it further resolved, the use of this portion of the beginning fund balance in the general fund for the purpose set forth above will not lead to an ongoing deficit and will not need to be corrected in future years.
All right. Do we have a
Second
second?
that.
Any discussion? Heather, call the question.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter,
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown,
Aye. Rachel?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
And additionally, I make a motion that be it resolved by the Board of Education of Lancaster School District R6 in Montezuma County, that the amount shown in the following schedule be appropriated to each fund as specified in the June budget for the ensuing fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2025. For the general fund, $10,506,263.41, of which that $7,844,534.38 for expenditures, $2,661,729.03 for reserves. For the preschool fund, $420,909.95, of which $420,809.95 is expenditures and $100 is reserves. For the food service fund, $293,624.87, of which $278,624.87 will be in expenditures, $15,000 in reserves. For the bond redemption fund, $829,342,203.24, which will be expenditures, $486,796.76 for reserves. For capital reserves projects, $440,555.63, $367,718.33 for expenditures, $72,837.30 for reserves. And finally, for the people activity fund of $270,847, $180,000, which is expenditures, $90,847 are reserves, for a total appropriation of $12,761,200.86.
Second that.
Okay, Heather, no discussion? Heather, call the question.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter,
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown,
Aye.
Rachel Newport.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Awesome. Okay, so that concludes us for the most part. It's the end of our meeting. However, I would like to point out we do not have any further public participation. Future agenda items, we do have our board retreat on July 16th, which is going to be held here. District goals, we'll be working with our staff on August 7th in regard to district goals. Also, I wanted to make sure that you all knew that we have a board and DAC meeting that we're looking at around August 13th or 16th? 13th?
No, I think 16 sounds right.
Okay, it's in our document as the 13th, so,
No, I think it's that Tuesday.
okay,
I don't remember.
we'll share
August
it.
16th is what you said earlier,
Yeah,
the GAC board combination.
Let me check.
But that was a Friday.
we'll make sure we finalize it, but know that we're gonna connect before school starts or right at school start, the board along with DAC. We are going to be hearing from our grants department with a grants overview, and that is work that has been done with Janet and Chris, who both, actually, it's been in the works since like April or May, you were building a report and we ended up having to push it back a bit. We'll have a summer hub, report. I'm certain that, Katie and Claire will be here to tell us how the summer went. And then just looking ahead, there will be, work to be done with trauma, Resilient Colorado around trauma informed. So at the start of the school year, without doing even any real like serious planning, we already have some pretty big objectives going into next year. But some of this is work that we in the past have not been as thoughtful, forward-thinking about doing. Board self-evaluation will happen at retreat. Tim, you created the format. We will be doing more policy work. We will be doing more strat plan updates, goals, etc. So a lot of good work being done. So we appreciate all of the staff that is working through the summer. Mr. Cordray, yourself, you're still parked here every day. Sometimes it's a Harley, sometimes it's a car, whatever. Anyways, we really appreciate everybody's hard work over the summer to set us up for success next year. Any other commentary? That being said, I will conclude this meeting at 7:16 p.m.